Hey everyone, this is Sam from Warhammer Online, and I've got another unboxing. So there's been the latest releases from Games Workshop. This is for the Primaris. We've got the Repulsor. It's a huge tank, so much so I can't even get it all on the screen on the camera because I'm not at the studio. Anyway, if we turn the box around, it shows you all the different weapons. We've got a really cool face here, which I'm definitely going to be using elsewhere in the Black Dragon army that I'm doing. I'll let you know which unit later on. But yeah, it shows you all the different weapons, so you know exactly what they look like before you start building them. Nice looking tank. Then we go into the instructions, and again you get the side views, or at least the front and the back view there really, showing you what it looks like, and it generally looks a little bit smaller than the Land Raider. At first I thought it was going to be as big, but I think it's going to be a little bit smaller, but there are a lot of components, so definitely worth looking through these instructions and following it as close to it as possible. The hull generally looks pretty straightforward. It's when you get to these other it's the grav bits. I don't know what they are, if it's like anti-grav technology or something, but these things look like they've got more components and you're going to have to fit these properly. I don't know how easy they would be to snap off. I thought they would be like almost you clip a whole batch of them together, but you've got to do them individually, so we'll see how they go. The other thing, initially I wasn't too keen on this tank. I thought it looked a bit daft, but I think practically it makes complete sense. You being able to float over the battlefield with all these anti-grav things and exhausts and stuff, it makes perfect sense rather than being in tracks or wheels and getting clogged up on the battlefield. So I kind of understand it a little bit more. I just think tank tracks and wheels look a lot cooler. There's loads of weapons in here as well, and the turret looks badass, so I'm really excited to start kitting it out and seeing what sort of magnetizing options there are for it. But yeah, overall I think this is probably the most advanced kit in the Primaris selection, and it still looks fairly straightforward. There is a separate stand that this comes with, so that's in the box. And I've noticed that they strap all of their equipment to the outside. If you look on that picture in the top left, they've strapped everything to the outside, so there's extra room for those 10 Primaris Marines on the inside. Onto the rules now. This thing is an absolute beast. So it's 16 power. I think on average I've chosen different weapons and mixed it up quite a bit, but on average I've got it for around 300, so 300 points or 16 power. It's fairly decent for how much damage this thing can actually pump out. Stats wise, it's got 16 wounds, so it's almost, I think it is exactly the same as the Land Raider, if not close. Strength 8, toughness 8, 9 leadership. It's only got a 3-up save rather than 2-up, so it's not as survivable as the Land Raider. However, it does have a lot more firepower, so I think between the two you've got a choice of tanky or shooty. Now weapon wise, this thing has got a lot of choices, and it's only when I started I did a spreadsheet, and on one of the previous live shows I've shown the spreadsheet that I've done in order to work this out easier. But there's so many different options, so you can start with a heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, or you can choose to take a las Talon. The las Talon has got much higher strength, but it's got the random damage, so it's whether you want a more guaranteed set of stats that you're going to be rolling against. So the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon has got 12 shots, whereas the las Talon has only got the 2 heavy shots. Your next option is you can use a twin heavy bolter, or you can use a twin las cannon. Again, it's whether you prefer 6 shots at a lower strength and a lower AP and lower damage, or you want to go for the 2 shots with a higher strength AP and damage as well. It's got 48-inch range, so I think I'm always going to include the twin las cannon just to add that extra threat towards monsters or vehicles to try and take them down a little bit easier. Now your next stuff is you've got an Iron Hail heavy stubber, and that thing can be switched for an onslaught Gatling cannon, again 2 choices. And then you've got the Icarus Iron Hail heavy stubber, and that thing can be switched out for a rocket pod, an Icarus rocket pod, or a storm bolter, or a frag storm grenade launcher. So there's a few more choices there. The Icarus stuff basically attacks flyers a little bit easier. The final 2 options that you've got to make, you have the Crack Storm. You've got 2 Crack Storm grenade launchers, but they are standard, you can't switch them. And then you've got 2 Storm Bolters, which can be switched out for the 2 Frag Storm grenade launchers instead. And again, it's down to whether you want the Assault D6 or you want to go for the standard Rapid Fire 2. Because within 12 inches, with the Storm Bolters, you're doing 4 shots. And they're not bad, you know, when you stack up all of these shots. The final option is you've got the auto launchers, so you can choose to basically stop all of your shooting for an entire turn and it means that you're at -1 to hit from the enemy, or you can have 2 Fragstorm grenade launchers, so you've got to choose between that again. And that's pretty much it in terms of weapon choices. Just have a look at all the stats, see which ones you think work out better, and go with that. Ability wise, this thing has got a few. It's a hover tank, so all the distances and ranges are measured from the model's hull. The auto launchers I've been through, so I won't talk about that, but one extra thing on this tank is you have the power of the machine spirit, so when you're moving and shooting your heavy weapons you don't suffer the penalty for that, so it's worth remembering. I just realised you get an extra Iron Hail heavy stubber option there as well. The extra thing on this is the tank will explode when you go down to 0 wounds, and you roll a dice and on a 6 it explodes, and every unit within 6 inches suffers D6 mortal wounds. That can be nasty. The last part is it can transport 10 Chapter Primaris infantry models, and every Mark 10 Gravis Marine basically takes up 2 spaces rather than just the 1, and it can't transport jump pack models. Other than that, that's pretty much the tank done. Quickly here we've got the flight stand. This is a new one from GW, so we'll probably see more of these in the future. And then we're going to go on to the sprue itself. So this is the hull, this is the bottom part. Just to show you the scale, this is the Librarian Primaris, or the Primaris Librarian. It's quite a big tank, and you can see once you've added all the other extra bits and sides and the top onto it, it will be a big bulky model. But I still don't think it's going to be as big as the Land Raider. We'll have to see when it gets fully built. Now, there's 3 sprues inside here. They're all highly detailed as you'd expect from Games Workshop, so every kit is pretty good. All these anti-grav bits are all laid out on this sprue with the side of the tank as well. That's the first one. The second sprue, we're going to go on to the next part of the hull. So this is the top part and also the back. We've got the exhausts, and it's quite a similar sort of layout to the Land Raider, except it's got all the anti-grav stuff on it and the stands and all these exhausts on the back. Don't know what this fluff is from. So GW don't do blister foam anymore, and yet somehow in this boxed up repulsor I've managed to get some blister foam, so thank you GW for that. Move it out of the way. Next we've also got the shield. So these shields go around the exhaust, and there's a door as well, and that's almost like a Rhino door. So that's one of the other reasons why I think it is going to be a bit smaller than a Land Raider, otherwise we'd have those doors instead. Now the final sprue, and this is probably the most packed, this is all of the weapons and the equipment as well as the turret. So there's so many choices on this. I think it's going to need to be magnetised, but not every weapon will have the same joint. So it's going to be a bit difficult to get them all working, but the turret itself is a really nice design, the top of it's really good. And you've got the option to have the covers, to have these infantry or the tank crew sitting out the back of it holding the guns or not. We've got a heavy stubber there, I think that is. And then on the other side we've got the las talon. I think that's the las talon. It looks like a shorter las cannon basically. There's also the onslaught Gatling cannon, and there's another heavy stubber. So one of those would have been the Icarus. We've got the heavy bolter there, the twin heavy bolter, and some canister things. This is all the equipment that you can choose to put on there. On the other side we've got some aerials here. I probably won't put them on just because it makes them awkward when you put them in cases. But we've got the hands, so if you're going to have a guy holding the guns, you've got the hands there for the handles. And then this is the best part of the model for me, and it's not the best, but this head I will be using on my apothecary, I'm thinking. It's just such a beautiful looking head with a scar on the mouth and around the eye. Definitely going to be using that on the model. So that is the 3 sprues. The final bit in the box is just the base that you get. I think it's a 100mm base. I have to double check that, but it's a big base anyway. And finally the transfers, and the transfers are the standard Primaris vehicle transfer sheet. As always with these transfer sheets, there's loads of choice on there. You can put up whatever you want on there. Good quality detail, and they're good transfers. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's given you a bit more of an insight into the kit. As usual with these unboxings, they're just pretty much open them up, have a look, see what's inside. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and share the video to anybody you may think would be interested in this that hasn't seen it already. Thank you very much for watching this, and let us know in the comments below if you're going to be picking 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of these up. And other than that, I'll see you on the next video. So thank you very much. Bye.